attending Rain or Shine Baptist Church on Chicago's South Side, a small storefront church that my grandfather, Reverend James Eccles, pastored. I was transfixed by those who would boldly stand before the congregation to testify, to give their testimony. They would stand and bravely acknowledge a personal hardship, being laid off, a threatened eviction, a loved one struggling with addiction. They would ask the church for their prayers, and they would offer thanks and praise to God for everything He had previously done and His anticipated intervention in their lives. They were giving their testimony, seeking comfort and strength from our church family. But as an adult in hindsight, I recognized they were doing something even greater than that was at work. They were asserting themselves in their testimony and saying, "See me, hear me." Acknowledge not just my struggle, but my very existence. I came to testify. In fact, the literal definition of testimony means to testify, to bear witness to proclaim oneself as an intrinsic part of the world. In their testimony, they were saying, "I am here." As an elected official, I'm often invited to speak at various events and functions, and in my intro, I find they tend to lean very heavily on my political bio and resume. No doubt my rarefied experiences working for former Congressman Joseph P. Kennedy II and United States Senator John Kerry were of incredible political tutelage. But I could argue that my real political training ground, my leadership development, where the seeds of empathy and compassion were first planted, was at Rain or Shine Baptist Church. It was there that I learned that everyone has a story. Knowing that has served me well as a public servant, because I know behind every statistic there is a person, a story, a testimony begging to be told. It was at church I learned the impact sharing one's story has on the individual and the community. It was at church Natalie attired in my Easter Sunday best with freshly pressed hair, liberally Vaseline lips to keep the ashes in a hair bonnet that pinched my chin, and a dress that was way too itchy. That I first learned to fully stand in my personal truth, to boldly proclaim and share my testimony. I wish I could tell you that ever since that first life lesson, I've never wavered from standing fully in my personal truth and boldly sharing my testimony with the world, but that would be a lie. That bold, fearless little girl from Rain or Shine Baptist Church, somewhere on my journey and path to womanhood and adulthood, she was abandoned. Or if I tell the truth, she was forced out. She was forced out by systemic and institutionalized cultural constructs of racism and sexism. She was stifled and suffocated, her individual boldness a casualty of it all. It was a struggle for that little girl. It was a struggle for that little girl. And it's challenging every day. There are moments when I return to that little girl and I want to revisit that moment where she was bold and unafraid. But I can't find her. You know, we're culturally force-fed a diet of binary choices. Whether you're talking about politics or ideology or your identity, it's as if the world presses on you, unfair and unreasonable requests, well, let me call it like I see it, demands. That you ignore your multi-layered, multi-dimensional, multi-colored, complicated self. Ayanna, choose. Choose what? My single-parent mother made great financial sacrifices to send me to an elite private school. My reality in our uptown Chicago neighborhood and our home at 4550 North Clarendon was in stark life contrast to that of my white affluent peers who lived in penthouse condos on Lakeshore Drive. They knew nothing of the landmines I navigated daily in my world, of the violence my neighborhood was besieged by, of the neighborhood girls who taunted and bullied me for trying to be white, of the grown men who made me feel ashamed of my prematurely developed body. At the age of 11, I boasted womanly brick house curves that made grown men leer at me and catcall. Baby girl, can I go? I was afraid all the time. My mother struggled to make ends meet. She was overworked. My father, a brilliant man who struggled with addiction, was in and out of prison, and our lives meant that I spent a great deal of time alone. After school, I would turn the key and open our apartment to an empty house. I'd hurriedly make myself to the way to the kitchen to make a fried bologna sandwich. I'd rush to the telephone, procrastinating from doing my homework, and find myself on the phone with one of my schoolmates, who would recount tales to me of nannies and expensive Capri Sun juices as their after-school snacks, along with string cheese and chocolate chip cookies. They would tell me of their upcoming ski weekends in Vail, Colorado. I was different. How I lived, where we lived, what I looked like, and that difference was painful, it was pronounced, I felt it. At school, I found myself daily straddling a fence where I reveled in my difference while simultaneously running away from it. One of the primary reasons I reveled in my difference is because, by default of my being one of few brown girls in the class, I became the designated spokesperson for the black race. Whenever classroom instruction turned to discussion of the civil rights movement, slavery, or racism, it was as if all of my classroom peers rubbernecked to me. They looked at me intensely and they prodded with questions, seeking confirmation that what the teacher was saying had happened was in fact true. I felt empowered by this defaulted designated role of spokesperson, but I also felt burdened by it. My classmates often told me I was different from most black people they knew. Whatever that meant, since I'm certain their entire knowledge of blackness was wholly informed by popular culture and by harrowing tales on the evening news. Nonetheless, I reveled in their praise and secretly celebrated. I had keenly studied them and their culture and successfully learned how to navigate their world. I was one of them. Well, all of this success came to a screeching halt on the eve of my 13th birthday. My mother decided to throw me a surprise birthday party, a pool party at the Y. Mind you, I didn't swim and still don't know how to. My mother had a vision, and when she had a vision, there was no stopping her. I walked into the local YMCA, and boy, was I surprised. In that space were all three of my worlds: church, neighborhood, school. I panicked and I wanted out. You see, I had been leading a compartmentalized existence, exposing only fragments of myself to each world giving them what I thought they would tolerate, understand, and digest. And in one moment, thanks to my mother, I was dramatically confronted by all three of these worlds, and I panicked. I wanted out. So I did what any 12, going on 13-year-old girl would do. I ran. And I hid in the locker room. After a considerable amount of time elapsed, my mother found me. I tearfully questioned her. Mommy, why did you invite all of these people? Mommy, why a pool party? I don't want to put a swimsuit on. I hate my body. Mommy, why? If my hair gets wet. Mommy, why? To which my mother replied, Ayanna, stop crying before I give you something to really cry about. Now don't you dare disrespect me or be ungrateful. I've been planning this party for weeks. You're being rude to your guests. They're all out there waiting. Now, let's go. I resisted. Mommy, if I go out there and I get in that pool, my hair will get wet and turn nappy. It will betray me. I can't go out there. My hair will betray me. My mother's tone softened. And she asked me, well, first let me just say that I know that was a loaded and dramatic statement for a 12-year-old, but if you know me, you know not much has changed. She said, what do you mean your hair will betray me? I said, well, when my hair gets wet and nappy, they'll find me out. Mommy, they'll know the truth about me. I'm black. In hindsight, I know what was reflected behind my mother's eyes was sadness and lingering questions. Had she caused her child more harm than good? Should she have sent me to this school? Had I forgotten the lullaby she sang to me as a child? I'm proud to be me. My mother took my hand and she said, Ayanna Soini. She always used my middle name when she meant business. Believe me, they already know. She took my hand, we returned to the party, and everyone had a great time. We had a Soul Train line, the falsettos of Michael Jackson were all around us, and I was free to be me. I don't know what happened in that moment, but it was transformative, defining, and freeing. For a moment. But only for a moment. I revisit that moment often because I daily feel pressured by a world culturally force-fed a binary diet of identity choices. As if the speakers are blaring constantly, Ayanna, who are you? Choose. Choose one. Who are you first? In a city that questioned if a black woman could represent an entire city while also advocating for her own home community. At a time when people wondered and questioned if I could run and win on a platform fighting for girls and women to break cycles of poverty and violence and to reduce trauma. At a time of advisors who discouraged me from telling the truth of my personal story for fear of pigeonholing or stereotyping myself. In an alleged sisterhood of women who questioned if I could relate to every woman because I'm unmarried and not a mother. Pressure to choose just one. The author Gwendolyn Brooks, when asked why did she capitalize the word black, said, I always capitalize my name. The truth of the matter is I am black with a capital B. I am woman with a capital W. I am the manifestation of movements. I am a symbol of social, political, cultural progress. I am the first woman of color in the history of the Boston City Council. I am American with a capital A. warriors for equality. One of my greatest influences in personal shero, Shirley Chisholm, when asked how she wanted to be remembered, said she didn't want to be remembered as the first black woman elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. Nor did she want to be remembered as the first black woman to pursue the U.S. presidency. She simply wanted to be remembered as a black woman who dared to be herself. Well, in fact, that is the journey and the struggle for us all. To dare to be ourselves, our multi-layered, multi-dimensional, cross-tagged, complicated, authentic selves. That is the journey and the struggle for us all. We all tell different people different stories about who we are, to protect them or to protect ourselves. Life is about choices. And when it comes to identity, I choose to be authentically, unapologetically